Hello everyone, this is Eric Ellingwand here today, and I finally decided to make the, by some people, long-awaited fat bike video, and I cut down a lot of bamboo. Wow, where to start? Well, first off, I guess I'll start with the tires. Well, the tires are the minimum size of fat tires. And I mean the minimum size of fat tires because the minimum size of fat tires you can have is 4 inches, and these are 4 inches. And as well, for rolling over stuff, they're they're better than normal mountain bike tires, but they're not exactly the best since, again, they're thin. However, though, I mean, they would be probably be much more sluggish, and I haven't really had a chance to really test it out in the wintertime. The only time this winter that I did get that there was, it was either like below freezing, or it was either like below freezing or it was too warm, and the snow was basically slush, which was holding its shape basically. So I haven't really got a chance to test it out on snow. And I must say that the disc brakes, some people say that hydraulic disc brakes are good. These are cable disc brakes, and I don't really think I will want to ride disc brakes just because, well, I'm not a very advanced bicycle mechanic, and I don't think I'd want to have to fuck around with that, especially out on the trails, having to leak hydraulic fluid, unless if it was like water and cornstarch or something like that, which maybe that's what it is. I haven't looked because I don't really care about hydraulic disc brakes. Well, the discs aren't very streamlined. And I gotta say, these trigger shifters, they're actually quite different than the other ones, because on one side of things I have to say that they are somewhat stronger than the older twist shifters, simply because you put something into it and then it's almost like a ratcheting mechanism on the inside of it, which basically pushes it, and then the forces are equalized out. And it would take, I mean, you'd have to physically probably hit that thing with a hammer in order to deform the inside of it enough so that it would slip. Whereas with the old twist shifters, I mean, I'd get the old ones and they would constantly be losing their shape. And I mean, I can really abuse these. I mean, you can see just how much the ends of these are beat up. So, I've only gotten one flat tire on this, and that's when I rode over some glass. The next thing and as of now, I'm still not 100% sold on one by, at least for mountain bikes anyways, because again, I'm still not sold on one by. And what one by is it's when you have no extra chain rings up front, and then in the reverse of that you have such a large cassette. Right now the widest range cassette that's what this is. It's a cassette, not a freewheel. It's a 9, or maybe it's a 10, but I'm pretty sure it's a 9 by 50 cassette, and it's a 12 speed, meaning that and then they usually come standard with like a 40 tooth, with a single 40 tooth chain ring. Personally, I'd probably run more of like a, I mean, unless if I was like a cross-country rider, I'd probably run more of like maybe like a 35 as opposed to a 40, so I could generate enough leverage, or maybe even run a 2-by. And I was just out riding today, and I went from having a 3-by in the front to a 1-by, because for some reason, this is jammed. And I can tell you what, I've always, and even with the 2-by, I've always had problems with that. I mean, the shifter on my cyclocross bike has fucked up. I mean, this just fucked up today. I went from having a 2-by when I started riding because it wouldn't shift into the 3rd gear to now it's a simple 1-by. But then again, though, even with a 24/11, and then even though with a, I'm pretty sure that's a 24 small chainring, with an 11/36, it's still pretty much is enough for the terrain where I have. But then again, though, it's still nice to have that when I have a really long road or a really long trail that I just really want to put the power through. And I mean, it also came with this kind of derailleur mount, and I have no fucking clue how the hell or why Reed actually put that in there. I can tell you I'd want something which either bolts into, I can tell you that I'd want something which into the down tube either bolts into it. Well, actually no, I wouldn't. I'd want something which use maybe say like a screw and then it kind of grips around the edge of it. That's the kind of derailleur I'd want. I wouldn't want something that would bolt into it, and I'll tell you that right now. And the main thing is the geometry of the Reed Hercules. I think it's definitely not the longest fat bike, or at least I don't think it is. Or shall I say, it does feel somewhat long. However, though, it's definitely somewhat twitchy, especially when I have the tire pressure down. And I also want to say that with the tire pressure the way that it is, I mean, I can hop over curbs pretty comfortably. But the main problem that I have with the geometry of the bike, and shall I say the geometry that I'd really want on a bicycle, is something which is maybe probably shorter than this, but in the reverse, and also has a very steep head angle, so that way you could have a suspension which is really steep, so you have a very steep head angle. So for two reasons. Number one, so you could, if I were to put a suspension fork on this, number one, it would be much more reactive. It'd be much more reactive to both like head-on kind of stuff and more downhill kind of stuff, number one. And number two, I mean having a very steep head angle, and I've never actually ridden a downhill bike beyond just riding one around in the parking lot, so I can't really speak for that. But I could imagine, though, that by having a very steep head angle, that would be much more reactive, and, well, that's much more reactive. But the second reason for having a short wheelbase would be to have more maneuverability, yet have more maneuverability, plus it would make it easier to get myself over the front of the bicycle for climbing, even with a steep head angle. Then in the reverse of that, it would make it easier to get myself over the back of the bike. The next thing that I don't like is the crank arms, the length of them. These are the crank arms which go into the bottom bracket, which is this right here. Pedals, pedal axle, crank arm, bottom bracket. First thing I don't like about the bike is that, I don't know if you see this, but these are the axles right here. That and that are the axles. And what I would have liked it is if they would have made it so the bottom bracket is in alignment with the axles, so my pedals wouldn't strike as much. And then in the reverse of that, if they would have made the seat post, I have a dropper post on there now. I'll have to do a separate review on that, but I will do a really quick review on here. If they would have put a seat post on there, I mean a seat post as long as the seat tube, and they would have had a shorter seat tube, and as well they would have made the bottom of the seat post and the top of the seat tube more reinforced, so you could put it up to within an inch, so you could put the seat post up to within an inch of the bottom of it, or up to within an inch of the top of the seat post and seat tube. Basically you could put the seat post up to within an inch of the bottom of it, and put it up to within an inch of the top of the seat tube. The other thing I wish they would have done is this part. I wish they either would have made this come down more, so this part would actually feed down here and this would carry on straight, or maybe have it be more sort of like a Y shape, so the top of the seat tube would actually be a little lower, so even with a dropper post, I could actually be more in the bike. I could actually be more in the bicycle. So, two reasons. Number one, it would make it easier for me to put my feet on the ground when I'm going over very tough technical terrain. I mean, my feet are almost straight with this the way that it is. I mean, just this much alone makes, I mean, just that much distance alone, and as in terms of seat height, can make a huge difference when going over technical terrain. I remember before when I had it, when it was down here, the seat was actually slightly below the top of the tire. Now it's slightly above the top of the tire. And I can tell you, for going over down very steep stuff, I would feel much, much more confident with that. And then, oh yeah, the seat post, which I would have replaced it anyways, even if I didn't get a dropper post, I still would have replaced the seat tube anyways, simply because the part of the seat, the part of the seat post that the actual, where the actual tube of the seat post, the actual post where the seat connected to the seat post, this part, like this part of it right here on the last one, was actually, wasn't so much like was actually integrated, but it wasn't a really streamlined integration, or I shouldn't say streamlined, but it was more like it was pounded in there. So rather than setting the quick release to a certain tightness and then it would stay there, I remember that when I would go to tighten it, I mean, when I'd put the seat post all the way up, I'd have to screw the little screw inwards, and then I'd lock it shut, and I wouldn't even be able to close it. When it was all the way down, it would be too tight, I wouldn't even be able to close it. In the reverse of that, if I had it locked for, say, down like this, and by the way, this is the same quick release that I was using when I had a normal seat post, I'd have to, and if it was like this, then I'd put it all the way up for maximum efficiency, then I'd put it in and it would just fall down by probably 4 or 5 inches, and it was just horrible. So I would have gotten a different seat post anyways, or at least next time Reed should make it so the part where the seat connects to the seat post, this part right here, would actually be separate so it wouldn't be jammed into there, maybe more sort of like Allen bolted onto there, so you wouldn't have to constantly change how tight it was, or at the very least maybe put a skewer on there as opposed to just a standard quick release. And now onto the this KS Lev, at least I think it's the KS Lev. I can tell you what, I mean, it's awesome for my first dropper post, but I can tell you I will never get it again. I mean, again, it's awesome for being my first dropper post. Let me say that again, I will never get one again. I mean, this is the kind of dropper post where I'd give it to, I mean, this is the kind of dropper post I would actually put on my cyclocross bike, but I can't because it's too big, or I would give to a, maybe say my child, or a child whenever I have one. I probably won't have it till I'm 40 and I'm 18 right now, or I'd give it to a girlfriend or a best friend or something when I got a new one. And the other thing that I can't stand about it is that it's so short. I mean, when I have it in the maximum efficiency position, I have to bring the dropper post, I mean, I have to use the quick release to pull the dropper post up, and I have to pull it all, so this part right here is almost all the way up right here, just to be able, or all the way up to like right here, just to be able to get it into the position so I can put it up to get it into maximum efficiency. Then, like say I was on a really tough technical trail where I was always constantly going up and down and up and down and up and down, I mean, it wouldn't be good because I'd still have to constantly be getting on and off of it to adjust the height of the dropper post. Or say I was going across really tough technical terrain, I'd drop it all the way. Then once I got off of it, in order to off the trail, and I was going to start riding home, I'd have to put it all the way down and then pull the dropper post all the way back up. And I mean, so personally, I think that's like what? I haven't measured it in millimeters or inches. Actually, no, let me pause it and measure it. Okay, so back to the bicycle review. I wasn't able to find a tape measure, however, though in the process of looking for one, I did manage to find my old Reed seat post. I can tell you what, the first thing, well, first off, well, they did do a good job at making the seat post almost as long as the seat. They did make a good job at almost making the seat post as long as the seat tube, as you can see, but they still could have made it about a few inches longer, so that way, if they still should have brought this up, they could probably bring this up by about, the ground's on not level, isn't flat here. I'm going to say that about this is the bottom of it. So yeah, I'd say that they could have made it longer for this particular design, but then again though, if they would have a seat post as long as this, along with an internally mounted dropper post, then that could be really good. So now that I think about it, by the way, the thing about this is how they have this part mounted into here makes the seat post at the top slightly thicker than at the bottom, so that made it a nightmare to put it up and down more than a few inches at a time. I'm just trying to look at it to see. So yeah, they could make that, if they were to make it about a few inches shorter, but then like reinforce the top of it, because this is the minimum that you're supposed to have it at. I'll actually ride sometimes, no joke, literally as low as like here sometimes. Like I'll literally ride about here. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say. I wish that they would start doing that, and I'm just trying to look at that to see about that. It's on uneven ground here, so so yeah, if that goes about there, then I'd say that it's about maybe a couple inches shorter. So I'd say that if they made the seat post maybe about like 2.5 to 3 inches shorter, but if they brought it up by about 2 inches, but then brought it down by about another inch, but then made a much more reinforced seat post and seat tube, that would be great. Oh yeah, and the other thing I don't want to forget about is they had an 11 by 30 cassette on there. I put on a 32. I mean, I can't remember if that's a 32 or a 34 tooth cassette. And I'm thinking about putting on a SRAM XX1 cassette. It's the black one is actually the cheapest XX1 cassette, because like $200 this fall. However, though, I'm also thinking about waiting a few years to put on a SRAM Eagle, wait for the price to come down on the SRAM Eagle, which is the 9 by 40 cassette, and in the reverse of that, yeah, just do that. I'm definitely keeping the triple rings, as much of a hassle as they can be. As much as a hassle as they can be. I definitely think that the trouble is worth it to have a combination of 2 gears for a wider gear selection, so you can have the really low gears for really tough terrain, have higher gears for, say, road riding, and then the biggest one for, say, life and death kind of situations. I know that may sound kind of extreme, but then again, though, I am kind of a prepper, or maybe I might want to chase down trucks. You just never know. I might get the chance to slipstream behind trucks. I also call it drafting. Well, there you go, folks. There's my... Oh, yeah! And one other thing, it didn't come with the bottle cage, and I also got this Blackburn high pressure and high volume air pump, and I can tell you what, it only pumps it up to, I mean, it pumps it up good enough for like coasting and freewheeling along, but it definitely doesn't pump it up to maximum efficiency. I think it's like, say, from, I guess this thing is meant to go for, I think, like 15, well, actually, let me look at the tires, actually. The tires can be pumped to PSI, 5 to 30 PSI. I think it only goes up to like 15 PSI, which that's not exactly the best for coasting along, but then again, though, it is good enough that it does have, but it's just good enough to get you from point A to point B. I remember that the fastest I ever went on it, but then again, though, it might have been because I was actually going on a downhill as well, but nonetheless, it's a very gradual downhill. I think I was able to get almost up to like 20 miles an hour, despite only having like maybe 15 or 20 PSI in the tires, pounds per square inch. So that's my long awaited by some people bicycle review. And by the way, I also wish these had Schrader valves, but then again though, the air pump that I use that has a Schrader valve on it, but then again though, the pump for Schrader valves, the air actually goes out faster than it goes in, or at just about the same speed, and it's a lot harder to use. So I wish they could change that, or I might need a different pump, and that's for my cyclocross bike. But then again though, have a nice time, good day, and a beautiful life. Sign up for YouTube and subscribe, share this, and leave a comment. And get a fat bike so you can burn fat all year long. And then remember, it doesn't matter how fat you are, what matters is that you're saving animals and the planet. Then again though, veganism is the best diet for weight loss, folks. Speaking of that, I think I'm actually going to start making a weight loss series, because I remember from all the years of calorie restriction, I remember for like the first year of veganism, it was accidental, but it was calorie restriction nonetheless. I remember I weighed 229 pounds at my peak weight. I think I went down to 175 pounds, and I've rebounded up to 122 pounds, so that's only not much difference between the two, but that's because I calorie restricted, eating unripe fruit, not eating enough, doing work in this backyard, and starving myself a lot, rather than eating a big bowl of pasta or just 1,000-calorie meal and then keeping me going until I'm hungry again and then stopping eating and then re-going again. I just persist until I was feeling lightheaded and dizzy. And don't do that, so that's why I rebounded. Folks, it's not the veganism. It's not the veganism, it was the calorie restriction. So never calorie restrict, and that's going to be my next video, how to lose weight with veganism. Bye, folks. So, this is what it looks like when you get to the end, or close to the end of the trail, at the Edith Dyer Library. Yeah, so this is what it looks like when you get close to the end of the trail at the Edith Dyer Library. And you have this gravel pit, which I'm not going to attempt that until I have more energy and I'm ready to go home afterwards. Until I have a lot of energy and I'm ready to go home, because I'll want some extremely low tire pressure for extra grip. This way, I have a feeling that parts of this trail either are going to be or have already been ripped up for housing, so I decided to go down it now. Well, I need to see how I feel about, well, I feel comfortable going down this part of it right here. I've been down this part of it before, but it is a slightly uncomfortable feeling going down this part of it. Well, I'm going to put my dropper post back down, and then this is Chickadee Lane in Hamden, Maine. Now this is Sunrise Avenue, and it comes out across from Chickadee Lane. Oh, damn it, they cut down that big, beautiful pine tree. Damn it. And then that may actually, that trail that I just went down, that may be one of the only videos that will ever exist of it, because unless if someone 90s-ish person has videos of it. I'm going to put this down a little bit more. Yeah, so unless if some 90s-ish person has that on a VHS tape somewhere, sitting in some basement someplace, possibly molding, rotting into obscurity and eventually non-existence, I think that this will be one of the few videos that will ever exist of that trail, since I'm not going to be able to buy it. At the rate that they're developing this place, I'm not going to be able to buy it. And I'm still 2 years away from becoming a welder, but then again, though, that is really fucking steep. I could possibly buy it. Then again though, it's north facing, and I wouldn't be able to get any thermal solar benefit out of it. Plus it's a really short street and there's not a lot of good trails around here, so. And all the ones by the Wallen Park Preserve are also sold out, so I don't know. Hi there. Good. By the way, I have an iPod on my fat bike right here, and I was just making a video. Don't think I'm schizophrenic. I love to make YouTube videos on and off, so. Oh, it feels so good. If I'm successful at getting over the deck without stopping, or at least without putting my foot down, then this will be my second successful run all the way. And I'm gonna ride up into the wood chips too. Whoa! Ah! Fuck! Oh, my back! Yeah, I'm not gonna do that after I had that back injury. Whoa! I could have done a reverse roll or a 180 off that. Hold on, folks. I'm not very good at those. Damn it.